Story 1. The Man Behind the Wall. When Brian and his girlfriend Melissa moved into their first home, they were thrilled about the affordable price and its spacious layout. The house was older, with a large, unfinished basement that Melissa avoided. Brian, however, saw potential and decided to use it as his workshop. A few weeks after settling in, Melissa started noticing strange occurrences. She would hear faint tapping noises at night coming from the basement. Brian dismissed her concerns, insisting it was likely the old pipes. But the noises grew more distinct: footsteps, soft thuds, and occasionally a faint whistle. One night, while Brian was working late in the basement, he noticed something odd. A portion of the wall near the far corner seemed to bulge slightly. The drywall there didn't match the rest of the basement. Curious, he tapped on it and found it hollow. Over the weekend, Brian decided to investigate. He cut through the drywall and discovered a small, hidden room. The space was filthy and reeked of mildew. Inside, he found a stained mattress, empty food cans, and a pile of clothes. But the most disturbing discovery was a series of Polaroid photos scattered on the floor. The photos depicted the previous owners of the house, taken at various times, some in intimate moments inside the home. The realization struck Brian like a punch. Someone had been living in this hidden room, watching the occupants through small peepholes drilled into the walls. Terrified, Brian and Melissa called the police. The officers inspected the room and the photos, but found no sign of the intruder. The hidden space was sealed up, but the couple never felt safe in the house again. 2 months later, they moved out, leaving behind the terrifying mystery of who or what had been living behind the wall. Story 2. The Basement Tenant. In 1997, Sarah's family rented a large 2-story house with a basement apartment. The landlord informed them that the basement was already occupied by a reclusive tenant, a man named Don. He assured them that Don was harmless, though a bit eccentric. Sarah and her siblings rarely saw Don, but they often heard him. Late at night, they would hear his heavy footsteps pacing back and forth. Occasionally, strange smells wafted up through the vents, something metallic and sharp that Sarah couldn't place. One day, Sarah's younger brother accidentally kicked a ball down the basement stairs. He went to retrieve it and found the door unlocked. Curiosity got the better of him, and he peeked inside. The air was thick with an acrid odor. The basement was cluttered with strange objects, jars filled with unidentifiable liquids, bundles of newspapers, and a table covered in what looked like animal bones. In the center of the room was a large, locked trunk. Before he could investigate further, Don appeared, furious and yelling for him to leave. Shaken, Sarah's brother told their parents, who confronted the landlord. He brushed off their concerns, insisting Don was just a harmless collector. But a week later, Don vanished without a trace. When the landlord came to clean out the basement, Sarah's family watched as the trunk was opened. Inside, they found stained clothing, knives, and what appeared to be human teeth. The police were called, and the evidence linked Don to a string of unsolved murders. Though he was never caught, Sarah and her family moved out immediately, haunted by the knowledge that they had lived above a killer. Story 3. The Room That Shouldn't Exist. Tom was a contractor specializing in renovating old homes. In 2014, he was hired by a family to update their basement. The job seemed routine, tearing out old paneling, rewiring, and replacing the flooring. While removing the paneling, Tom uncovered something strange: a second doorway hidden behind the walls. The family had no idea it was there, and there were no records of it in the house's original plans. Intrigued, Tom pried it open and stepped inside. The room was small and completely soundproof, with thick insulation lining the walls. In the center was a rusted metal chair bolted to the floor, and the walls were covered in disturbing graffiti, scribbled phrases like, "Don't let it out," and "It watches you." In one corner, Tom found a pile of old, weathered notebooks. They were filled with frantic writings about a shadowy figure that lived in the walls and whispered at night. The final entry read, "I locked it away, but it's still here. It always finds a way." The family decided to seal the room and told Tom to continue with the renovation. But strange things began happening soon after. Tools would disappear, only to be found in odd places. Unexplained cold drafts swept through the basement, even on warm days. One night, the homeowners heard a loud crash from the basement. When they went to check, they found the sealed door open. The room was empty, but deep scratches now marred the inside of the door, as if something had clawed its way out. The family moved out within weeks, refusing to spend another night in the house. The property remains abandoned to this day, with locals whispering about the room that should never have been uncovered.